tell you what, this is a video that I have wanted to make for a long time. I just never did it, but it's a rainy day outside, and I decided I would throw this little video together. So, back in the late 90s, I think it was 96, 97, something like that, I bought my first ever Man's Baby 1 Minus. Black silver with a red belly. And this is not the one I'm speaking of. I'm just using this as an example. But I ended up catching more fish on that lure than I have ever caught on any other lure I've ever thrown. And this is lakes, ponds, stream fishing, all over the place. Anyway, I ended up misplacing the lure. I didn't lose it in a lake or in a tree or anything like that. I just misplaced it. I went out and I bought another one. Black, silver, red belly, exact same lure. And I fished with it. I could hardly catch any fish on it. Fish just didn't like it. Then I bought another black silver, and then I bought Ghost, and then I bought Chartreuse, and I bought all sorts of different colors. Most of them I've obviously lost over the years, but none of them ever had the action that the original one that I had. They never had that magic action, is what my theory is. So, years later, I go to sell my vehicle, and as I'm cleaning it out, I find my original Baby 1 Minus. It's actually up underneath my driver's seat, hanging underneath the seat by one of the hooks. It was stuck under there. I actually found it. I took it back out, fished with it. Right back where we started, I was catching fish left and right with this magic Baby 1 Minus. So, my theory is, after thinking about this for years, there's a lot of people that believe that certain lures have just the magic action, and most lures don't. People love to find, a good lure and hang on to it forever. But my theory is, in the long run, I think you are better off buying cheap Chinese lures like these and just going through one at a time and testing them. See if the bass likes it. Maybe the bass doesn't like this one. They don't like this one. They don't like any of these. You're going through, all of a sudden you find one and the bass just absolutely love it. So you put that one aside. That's one of your good ones. Same thing over here. Oh, the bass. They don't like any of these. They don't like any of these. Oh, they love this one. There's something about this one. It has a magic action. You save that in your magic lure pile over here. But in the end, my theory is that you are better off buying these cheap lures that cost $1 a piece, maybe $1.50, and just completely avoiding the name brand lures. I mean, this right here is a Megabass knockoff. I get these for $1 a piece. The Megabass Vision 110 is like a $22 lure, right? I get these for $1. I can buy 22 of these things for the price of one Megabass. And as long as one of those out of the 22 that I order has a magic action, I am already better off than I was buying that one Megabass, because that one Megabass might not have had the magic action anyway. And so that's literally what I have done recently. I've completely switched over. I buy nothing but cheap knockoffs nowadays, because I know that what I'm trying to do is just find, weed out all the lures that don't have good actions and just hone in on the ones that do. And, if you think what I'm saying here is kind of crazy, if you've ever done any kind of lure design at all, you'll know real quick that the smallest little differences in design make all the difference in the world when that lure's swimming through the water. So you take a lure, even like a Megabass Vision, and now they have pretty high standards. But what if the BBs that they put inside they're not exact. They're never exactly the same. They never use exactly the same amount of glue when they're gluing the two halves together. The wire that they're using for the hook hangers and the tie eyelet, I mean, the wires are never exactly the same. And that's just a fact. I mean, you cannot argue with that. They have tolerances, tight tolerances, but they're never exact. And like I said, the smallest differences between two lures can make all the difference in the world. Right? So what if they have a mold? They're doing plastic injection, and they have 50 left side and 50 right side popping out of the mold every 15 minutes or whatever. Well, what if the plastic that they're using is different? It's coming from the same manufacturer, but what if it's just a slightly different batch of plastic that they're using? Doesn't have exactly the same characteristics as the last batch that they used. I mean, the smallest little things like that can throw off the action. And if that's true, then that means that Megabass lure that you're spending $22 on, there's no guarantee that it's going to be a great lure. No way. Ever. And that's a fact. I mean, you cannot argue with that. And so that's why I order nothing but cheap lures anymore. And I'd love to hear comments on this, but I could start a revolution here. I mean, talk about running a bunch of big name brand companies completely out of business. I hate to give China any more business than they already have, but hell, most of these lures are built in China anyway, aren't they? But look into that. Think about it. Maybe try it out and see what you think about my theory.